She said to me one evening, "A real man would support my career, not question my business trips." I looked her in the eye and simply said, "Okay." From that moment on, I decided I would support her in a way she never expected. I'm 35 years old, and until 6 months ago, I thought I had the perfect marriage. But then my wife started a new phase in her career development, a breakthrough consulting position she was excited about, one that demanded frequent overnight trips to nearby cities. At first I was genuinely proud. It felt like her ambition was finally paying off, and I wanted to be the husband who cheered her on. The trip started off harmlessly enough. Maybe once or twice a month, she'd pack her professional wardrobe, kiss me goodbye, and come back the next evening with stories about client meetings, networking dinners, and conferences. I took over more of the household responsibilities to support her busy schedule, making sure she could focus on her career without worrying about home. But then things changed. Around the third month, the trips became weekly, and more than that, her demeanor shifted. She became distant, always on her phone, smiling at messages she wouldn't share with me. When I asked about her work, she became defensive, accusing me of not trusting her, of questioning her professionalism. The woman I thought I knew was slipping away. The breaking point was a Thursday night when I suggested we plan a weekend getaway. She shot the idea down immediately, saying she had another important business trip. I gently mentioned that these trips were taking up almost all of our time together, and that we were drifting apart. That's when she exploded. She said, "A real man would support his wife's career ambitions instead of questioning her business trips. You're being controlling and insecure. Successful women need partners who understand the demands of professional growth. You're trying to sabotage my success out of jealousy." I sat there absorbing her words. Instead of arguing, I felt a strange calm wash over me. I simply said, "Okay." I told her she was right, that I should be more supportive. From that moment forward, I promised to give her all the support she needed. She seemed surprised, but quickly recovered and thanked me for finally understanding. She left the next morning with renewed confidence, clearly believing she'd won the argument. What she didn't know was that her accusations had awakened something in me. If she wanted a truly supportive husband, I would be exactly that, but maybe not in the way she expected. I started small, doing some light digging into her consulting firm. A few internet searches revealed some odd inconsistencies. The company's website didn't list her as an employee. Their client list didn't match the cities she said she was visiting. Her LinkedIn profile had details that didn't align with the stories she told me. But I didn't confront her. Instead, I played the role of the supportive husband perfectly. I began documenting everything meticulously: her departure times, return times, what she said about her trips, the clothes she packed, even her moods when she left and came back. I also scrutinized our finances. Oddly, I never saw her salary from the consulting gig in our joint account. She said she was building her business savings separately, which sounded reasonable enough not to question outright. I became accommodating beyond belief. When she needed the car for trips, I offered to rent her a nicer one. She complained about shabby hotels, so I suggested she book better places on our credit card. I even offered to help create a professional website for her consulting business. She always deflected nervously, saying the clients provided transportation, the hotels were fine once she got settled, and she preferred working through referrals instead of a website. 3 weeks into my supportive husband act, I took it up a notch. I contacted a private investigation firm, telling them I wanted to surprise my wife with a comprehensive business development package. I asked for detailed info on her professional activities to coordinate my surprise perfectly. The investigator was professional and discreet, and I gave him the info he needed: license plate, departure times, cities she claimed to visit. While waiting for the results, I kept being the perfect supportive spouse, meal prepping her favorite foods on travel days, driving her to the airport, suggesting special dinners to celebrate her successes. She grew more uncomfortable with my enthusiasm, but couldn't fault my support. 2 weeks later, an encrypted email arrived from the investigator. The photos and timeline were crystal clear. My wife wasn't attending business meetings in neighboring cities. She was spending her trips at a lakeside cabin with a man I didn't recognize. The documentation was professional and thorough. Time-stamped photos showed them arriving together, sharing intimate moments on the deck, clearly acting like a couple, not business partners. The rental agreement for the cabin was paid by the same man. I felt calm reading it. The betrayal stung, but having suspected infidelity for weeks, seeing solid proof brought relief, not devastation. 3 days later, the final report came in with more details. The man was divorced, worked in sales, and had rented the cabin for 4 months, the exact period her business trips increased. The investigator found they met on a dating app, despite her claims they met through professional networking. That weekend, I reviewed everything, planning my next steps. My supportive husband routine had worked perfectly. She grew comfortable lying while I gathered irrefutable evidence. Monday morning, she announced yet another business trip. This time, a multi-day strategic planning retreat, completely unreachable for 2 days. I told her how proud I was and asked if there was anything special I could do to support her growth. She seemed touched, saying my understanding meant everything. That afternoon, I visited a divorce attorney with the evidence. The lawyer confirmed the proof was more than enough to file. He advised me to secure our assets and gather more financial documents. I spent the week quietly organizing our finances, transferring half our savings to a separate account, copying documents, separating our intertwined lives. Friday came with the usual routine. She packed her professional wardrobe, kissed me goodbye, promising to call when she arrived safely. I wished her luck with her retreat and said I'd be thinking of her. Saturday morning, I drove to the cabin from the report. I stayed far enough away to avoid confrontation, but saw her car parked there, confirming everything. Sunday afternoon, I prepared for her return. On our kitchen table, I laid out the investigator's report. Every photo, timeline, and piece of evidence organized to tell the story of her deception. She arrived glowing with excitement about the retreat's success, thanking me for being supportive. I said I had something important to show her and led her to the kitchen. Her face shifted from confusion to horror when she saw the photos spread out. She tried to speak, but I raised my hand and calmly said, "I finally learned how to be the supportive husband you wanted. I hired a professional to document your business activities, and this is what I found." Her face went pale. I explained the investigator had tracked her over multiple trips. She started making excuses. The cabin was a neutral spot for private business meetings. The man was a client, nothing inappropriate. I listened, then pulled out screenshots from the dating app the investigator uncovered. I showed the timeline of their online chats lining up with her trips, the cabin rental payments, and the romantic photos. Her excuses crumbled. She broke down crying, admitting she made a terrible mistake, but insisted her feelings for me hadn't changed. She begged for forgiveness, promising to end the affair and focus on our marriage. I told her I appreciated her honesty, but my support would now take a different direction. I handed her the divorce papers I had prepared, explaining I wanted to support her transition to the single life she clearly preferred. She became hysterical, alternating between anger and desperation. She accused me of manipulation and cruelty, saying a real husband would have talked to her about suspicions instead of hiring investigators. I reminded her she had told me a real man would support her career without questioning her business trips. I had done exactly that while gathering the truth. The irony wasn't lost on either of us. Her demand for unconditional support had backfired spectacularly. The divorce moved quickly thanks to my thorough documentation. She initially contested, claiming emotional manipulation, but her lawyer advised against a fight that would expose her infidelity. She moved out within 2 weeks, vacillating between attempts at reconciliation and accusations that I was cold and calculating. I maintained I was just the supportive husband she requested, following her own instructions on how a real man should behave. The financial settlement was straightforward. She got her fair share, but couldn't claim extra support given her deception. 6 months later, I heard from mutual friends that her relationship with the cabin man ended soon after the divorce. Apparently, secret affairs don't translate well to public relationships. I found peace knowing I handled everything with dignity and thoroughness. Her demand for unconditional support revealed her true character while protecting my own interests. Sometimes the best way to support someone is by documenting exactly what they do with that support. This whole experience taught me that trust must be built on transparency, not blind faith. When someone demands support without accountability, they're often hiding something that won't withstand scrutiny. My next relationship will be built on mutual honesty, not one-sided accommodation. Looking back, I'm grateful for her clear instructions about how to be supportive. Following her guidance precisely saved me years of deception and gave me the clean break I needed to rebuild my life honestly. If you want to hear more stories like this, real stories about trust, betrayal, and growth, please hit that subscribe button. It means the world to us. Thanks for listening.